Welcome to Portsmouth Insights. I'm your host, Rob Lauer. Every day, millions of Americans head to work wearing uniforms required for their respective jobs. Over 5 million wear uniforms from Cintas, a national leader in services related to supplying and cleaning work uniforms. On today's show, we'll visit the Cintas regional site located right here in Portsmouth. We'll also sit down for a conversation with Debbie Stitzer-Brame, the Executive Director of Edmark Hospice for Children, which is headquartered in Old Town. And on today's neighborhood segment, we'll take a look at Cavalier Manor. So please, join us for this episode of Portsmouth Insights. Welcome to Portsmouth Insights. Regardless of what the industry may be, a uniform on a company employee or representative makes a strong impression on customers and on the public generally. Thousands of companies across the United States, from international chains to small businesses, turn to the Cintas Corporation for their uniform needs. Cintas is headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, but it has 340 facilities nationally, which employ 30,000 people. For the fiscal year of 2012 alone, the company's revenues were $4.1 million. Cintas Corporation's base of operation for southeastern Virginia is located here in Portsmouth on Smithfield Road, just off Victory Boulevard. To learn more about the company, we visited the facility and spoke with its general manager, Jeff Anderson. Thanks for joining us, Jeff. Well, listen, I knew very little about Cintas. I've seen the trucks driving around, but for those in the audience who probably have seen the trucks but don't know exactly what Cintas is, what goods, what services does Cintas provide? Tell us a little bit about the company.
Well, Cintas over the years has changed quite drastically. We're in a lot of different products right now, but we are a leading provider of services from business to business. We specialize in corporate identity uniform programs. We also provide secure document shredding services and storage. Let's see what else we got. We provide first aid and safety products. We provide a restroom cleaning service with supplies. Mm-hmm. We have a tile and carpet cleaning business. We also sell promotional products, and we provide entrance mats. And we do this through North America, mm-hmm. Asia, and Europe. At this location, we provide the document shredding service. Mm-hmm. We also provide the garment rental service, where we will actually pick up dirty clothes and laundry on site, and then we'll deliver them back. And we do this for a variety of business. We do everything from the hospitals mm-hmm. to the food business, such as Smithfield, mm-hmm. And we do it for small individuals up to 2 or 3 employees.
The technology that you have here, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, everything's very automated. Our drivers, when they go out and they service our customers, and we refer to our drivers as our service sales representative. They are really the front line partner that meets the customers on a day in and day out basis. When they come back and we unload their garments, they do not get touched until they come out of the dryer. Everything is done through complete automation. When we unload the garments at the end of the day, we actually weigh the garments, we put them on a scale, and then we type into the computer identifying what type of products they are. And at that point, we also let the washers know in the the chemical injection system, mm-hmm. what to put into the washer. So when they drop into the washer, the computer automatically tells what formula to use. It'll actually wash the clothes, and then the washer will bend forward and drop it on a conveyor system, and then it'll drop it into the dryer, and our dryers will bend backwards, and they'll drop it on another conveyor. Wow. And at that point, we start to hang the garments.
Mm-hmm. I noticed as we were walking around, every employee that we passed, you knew them by name. There are quite a few employees here. How many do you have working here?
We have about 150 partners, and we refer to them as partners because everybody's an owner in the company. We're an employee stock ownership, mm-hmm. So each year, as they're part of the ESOP plan, and part of their profit sharing is tied with stock incentives. So it encourages everybody to work hard and to work as a team.
So would you say that really has a big impact on the culture of the company then?
I think that's part of it, and part of it is the way the company was founded. It's always believed in the principle we're going to We're going to run our business with complete honesty. We're going to treat every partner with respect. And we're really just a big family. Mm-hmm. And the interesting part is a lot of times people will come here to interview and they'll always comment, are people really this happy at work? And I always say, well, can't you be happy at work and enjoy your work? And I do hear that quite often when I interview employees from the outside.
Now recently, I know that the company has won an honor. And in fact, you were telling me earlier you won several distinctions and honors and awards and things. Can you want to tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, in July of this year, July 23rd, OSHA awarded us with their highest award. And this is a journey that has no end, and I know our families appreciate the journey we are on. My proudest day in the quest of VPP came during the closing remarks of the auditors made. They all kept commenting, we are amazed by the partner engagement we had at this location. They all recognize how our partners truly cared about their work.
Partners, I'm very proud of what you've accomplished in earning the high distinction of VPP Star. Your efforts and painstaking hard work have not gone unnoticed.
Partners, as you know, VPP Star is sterling recognition. You have to earn it. It's not a lay down. Nobody's just going to give it to you. Doesn't work that way. The thing that impressed me that I saw just today is you got doorbells on the restrooms. I mean, whoever is thinking of that is thinking of absolutely everything that it takes to keep people from getting hurt.
You've proven to our entire company that it is possible to have achieved safety excellence at this type of level. You are the benchmark, and I applaud your accomplishments and all the accomplishments you have had throughout the years.
We all talk about, as companies and operating outfits, about the bottom line, and sometimes the bottom line is extremely important. As president and CEO, I understand that, but I also understand what it means to create a culture that builds in from the bottom up and from the top down, a safety, a healthy community, a healthy organization that you can be proud to work with and for.
I remember one VPP site I went to, and I was just on the stairwell going down some stairs, and there was a guy on the floor, and he didn't give a rip who I was. He said, "Sir, would you please put your hand on the handrail?" I was like, wow, talk about detail-oriented. This flag is not given out to just anybody. It has to pass the Milford Stern test, and that's a tough test to pass. Here's the flag, fly it with pride.
It's called VPP, and we're now a VPP Star site. There's only 59 businesses in the state of Virginia that has actually received this award, and there's only currently 45 that are still in this elite group.
So what does VPP stand for?
VPP stands for Voluntary Protection Program, and it's a very stringent process. We worked with OSHA for 3 years to receive this award, and OSHA comes in multiple times and they inspect your facility to make sure that you are going above and beyond when it comes to safety compliance.
Great. Again, now you were telling me there was another distinction that the company received for their use or the way that you're recycling, for lack of a better term.
Hampton Road Sanitation Department has awarded us the last 4 years the Gold Award for pollution control. We have not had a water violation in the last 4 years, so we're very proud of that.
Well, what is the future looking like for the company at this point?
Here locally, what I see in our corporation as a whole, in 10 years we envision we'll double the size of our business again.
Wow.
And I envision that's going to happen here. We have plenty of capacity for that to happen at this facility. It's a big building, we have a lot of land, and so we'll have room to expand parking lots and make for the additional trucks. So I'm envisioning we'll probably have, instead of 150 partners, maybe 300 partners in another 10 years.
Look, that's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and showing us around and giving us the history, and best of luck with the future.
You're welcome. Glad to have you out.
Thanks. When we return to Portsmouth Insights, we'll sit down with Debbie Stitzer-Brame and talk about her work as the Executive Director of Edmark Hospice for Children. Stay tuned.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Ready or not, here I come.
Take time to be a dad today.
Daddy, I'm gonna find you.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Portsmouth Insights. On the 500 block of London Boulevard in Old Town stands an unassuming two-story colonial house that might be mistaken for a private home. In actuality, it's the offices of Edmark Hospice for Children. The executive director of Edmark is Debbie Stitzer-Brame. Recently, we sat down with Debbie to learn more about her work and the mission of Edmark. Debbie, thanks so much for taking time out to speak to us today. Listen, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about Edmark. What is your mission? What do you do? What is the objective of Edmark?
Well, Edmark is the pediatric hospice and palliative care program in Hampton Roads, serving both sides of the water, south side and the peninsula. And we cover about 2,400 square miles. And what we do is very unique and very different, is we take healthcare into a little one's home, into a child's home. And that could be a child who is newborn through age 17. And these children have a potentially life-threatening illness or a life-limiting condition that puts them at risk of dying before they reach adulthood. So being able to go out in their home and provide whatever is necessary, so it might be administering chemotherapy, it might be administering antibiotics, hydration, nutrition, patient teaching, really whatever that child needs, and being able to do it in the comfort of their own home. And also not forgetting that just as that child carries the burden of the illness, their parents carry a burden, their brothers and sisters carry a burden, and we're there to help from a psychosocial standpoint for the entire family, being able to take care of the whole little person the child we're caring for, as well as everyone who's touched by that child.
And I assume that you're dealing with infants all the way to later in the teen years? So.
That's correct, that's correct. So the folks that we have here are highly skilled professionals, the nurses and social workers and counselors, because it's tough to communicate the same way with an infant that you would with a teenager. And even if they're 17, they're still a child and they're still going through some difficult things. And so having the ability and the flexibility to respond to the needs of that child, however old they are.
Yeah. So how did you come to Edmark? What is your background?
Well, I'm a nurse by profession and been a nurse a long time. And I think I've always been drawn to families who are in need, families who are in crisis. And as experience in critical care for years and years and years, and working in administration and working with an organization called LifeNet Health. And so all of that experience, I think, has brought me to where I am. And I've been here for 15 years, and it's been an incredible journey, being able to have that privilege to walk with families during a very difficult time in their life, and being there for them in hopes and prayers that there is a healthy discharge, because that's the difference with kids care.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is the difference? I know that with adult hospice care, they're usually given 6 months or less to live, and all treatment stops, and it's sort of just making them comfortable to the end. What is different when you're dealing with children?
Well, that happens in some situations because we do provide hospice care. That's what we do. But children are resilient, so we don't know in many situations how they're going to react to treatment. So we do all we can to aggressively seek treatment for them. But in those situations where a child loses their battle, Edmark is going to be there. We're going to be there for as long as the siblings and the parents, the best friends, the grandparents, whoever was affected by that child's life. Because grief knows no time frame. It doesn't start before, it does sometimes. It doesn't start after, it doesn't start in 2 weeks. It just happens. And grief work is tough.
Yeah, and so it's not like after 6 months or after 1 year.
No. Now, for regulation purposes, for compliance for state and federal regulations, there are some stipulations.
Right.
But for us, we follow families as long as they need us. And it could be individual, it could be group, it could be one-on-one, it could be couples, it could be whatever that family needs. And the thing that we are all about is that families are already enduring the biggest stress, the greatest tragedy of their life. And Edmark never sends a bill. Families are never charged for anything. They're already paying the biggest price there is.
Yeah.
And the community allows us to do that. Hampton Roads is so giving and so supportive, and we all rally around these families in a very fragile time and hope and pray that we can treat them, and when we can't and a death occurs, that Hampton Roads recognizes that Edmark needs to be there, and we are. So.
But tell me a little bit about the history of Edmark, and particularly the name. I'm familiar with the name, and when I first heard it, I thought it was a little odd. I didn't know if it was a last name or what exactly it was. But tell us about that.
Well, we hear that all the time. Not as much as in my early days, but we still hear that where people are, Edmark. What is it? Is it an acronym? Is it an insurance company? What does it stand for? And it is because of the two individuals back in the mid-1970s who, one little boy, his name was Marcus, and he had an illness that there was no cure or treatment for. And his parents sought help from their pastor, who was Ed Page Jr. at Suffolk Presbyterian. And through their pastor and their small church congregation, they were able to get what they needed so Marcus could go home. And the family realized that they couldn't have possibly been the only family that would need this kind of help and support. So Marcus died. Shortly after that, Edward died. Edward had a brain tumor. So both families experienced tragedy. And so what they decided to do was pull together their resources, channel them in a positive direction, and through the children in the community, came up with the name, as only kids can do, is they all looked at the adults and went, well, what are we going to call it? And the kids went, duh, Edmark. And so the birth of Edmark began. And since then, the things that we started doing in our very beginnings, we really are continuing that ministry and being able to take everything we do into the home, keeping the family together with hopes that they can survive a tragedy.
Best of luck in the future with everything, all the good work you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
we appreciate
for joining
it.
us today and telling us about it.
You bet.
Next on Portsmouth Insights, in our neighborhood segment, we'll take a look at Cavalier Manor. That's coming up after this message.
You must be your fairy godmother?
It doesn't take a fairy godmother to tell you that the right fit means everything. Especially when it comes to car seats. Always choose one that's the right fit for your child's age and size.
Oh, that does make a difference.
Remember, their happily ever afters are in your hands. To find out more, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Welcome back to Portsmouth Insights. Portsmouth is home to many historic neighborhoods. Cavalier Manor in the Victory Boulevard area of the city is unique among them. Built in an era when racial segregation was still the norm, Cavalier Manor was a proud middle-class African-American neighborhood of attractive new homes and a strong sense of community. Through the many changes of the last half-century, that pride and that sense of community have continued, as we learned when we sat down with members of the United Civic League of Cavalier Manor.
My name is Joseph R. Wright. Everybody calls me Joe. I moved into Cavalier Manor in 1959, approximately 54 years ago.
I'm Ray Smith, and I've moved to Cavalier Manor back in 1979
I've actually owned 2 homes and rented a home in Cavalier Manor. My first was a rental, and then I've purchased 2 homes in Cavalier Manor. So I've been a resident since 1979.
When I went to Cavalier Manor, you know, very few streets were paved. We had these open ditches, you know, and very rare bus service. In fact, it wasn't even the city of Portsmouth. It was considered Norfolk County because we didn't get it annexed until a couple of years after I got there.
I married a lady that lived in Cavalier Manor, and at the time there was a piece of property in the family became available for rental. So we took that as a quickie move to get our own place as a starter. So that's actually through marriage is actually what led me to Cavalier Manor.
Developer was a person named George T. McLean. He built the neighborhood. Of course, the first house that I moved in Cavalier Manor was a shell that was transferred from the old Academy Park area, and he built around it. He built about, I would say about 50 or 60 houses like that. That was back in the early 50s, and I stayed in that house about 17 years before I moved to the house on Welcome Road. And the area didn't have anything. We barely had bus service. No stores or anything. If you needed anything, you had to either walk or catch a cab or just drive if you had a car. Of course, there was very few cars in the neighborhood at that time also.
One thing I have to say, and maybe some folks may not be aware of this fact, but it is a fact, Cavalier Manor is the largest middle-class African-American community in the country. There are over probably close to 700 homes out there that start all the way over to Victory Manor, which is the birth of Cavalier Manor. Then it goes all the way, the homes progressed in size and crossed over to Crystal Lake. And over the years, the development has been improvement.
Things have definitely changed a lot in the past few years. We consider ourselves really a contained neighborhood. We have our own little mini shopping center. We have barbershop. We have 3 or 4 churches, drugstore, and just down the street we have a shopping center.
Over the years, back from the day of Tower Mall when that was torn down, and now Victory Crossing, I think the good thing and the success about what they've done out there now is just a variety of open air type shops and grocery stores. There's a new stores coming, gas station is coming, Royal Farms is coming out there, Cookout. They've just added so many, very popular businesses and restaurants that that draw folks from all over the city actually, and it's just interstate actually separates us from the walk, but the drive is 3 to 4 or 5 minutes. So it's very accessible to all of the amenities, and even the college, the Tidewater Community College, is even closer for folks that attend, and they can either walk or they can drive in 2 or 3, 4, or 5 minutes.
Really, we don't need anything downtown unless we choose to go down there, because we have everything out there in Cavalier Manor. It had been predicted that, it would be a slum area 5 years after it was developed, but we proved that not to be true because it's almost 60 years old, the neighborhood.
The Civic League has been 40, 50 years, and it's always been active. It's right now, the senior citizens are the primary participants and the ones, like in a lot of communities, that carry things. Unfortunately, the young folks between grandkids and work and other obligations aren't as actively involved in the community and the civic leagues as the senior citizens. And I guess back from their roots and their upbringing, they just know that that's a primary source of getting things done or getting their voices heard. So what we've done over the years is just try to do the things that we thought to reach out. Like since I've been president, we have a brand new website, new and improved website that's very interactive and has a lot of information on it. And we just recently finished a community day. So we're very much in connect with a lot of the citizens out there in the city.
Yes, we have one of the largest recreation centers in the city of Portsmouth. We have our own swimming pool. We have about 3 or 4 baseball, softball fields. We have a soccer park. We have tennis court that's being rehabilitated as we speak, you know. And we have a little recreation center. It wasn't originally designed for a recreation center, but after the city annexed it, in fact, that's where we paid our mortgage at, you know. But now it's a recreation center. It houses, we have a gymnasium right next to it, you know, that was built later on after the city annexed it. And we think we have one of the largest areas for children and adults, you know, and seniors. You know, we have a senior citizen organization that they meet regular at the center, you know. We have a elementary school, Lakeview. One of our council people, Councilwoman Marlene Randall, used to be the principal of that school, Lakeview Elementary School. And we also have W.E. Waters Junior High School. In fact, Miss Councilwoman Randall's husband used to be principal of that school years ago. What I like about the neighborhood is we are well organized. Most of the people know each other.
And everybody looks out for one another. Everybody takes care of one another's belongings. And whenever there's a problem or situation, they're knocking on your door, trying to find out what's going on. I can remember one episode where, I was purchased some furniture, and I had a U-Haul truck, and I had it in my driveway, and 4 of my neighbors come to my door, knocking on the door, wanting to know was that my truck, you know, and even before 2 of them had came from around the back of the house, they had already circled the house, and then the 2 was on the front porch. So that's the kind of neighbors I had out there.
We have a strong civic league, a strong neighborhood watch, and we have 2 neighborhood watch officers that inform us of the little crime that goes on out there, and I'm very well satisfied. It's a place to grow old at, you know.
It's just a super place to live, to worship. There's numerous churches out there. There's just a great atmosphere of camaraderie and civic pride in Cavalier Manor. It's one of the greatest communities that I know. Having been born in Douglas Park and raised in Mount Hermon, my adult years have been in Cavalier Manor, and I've simply enjoyed it, and I wouldn't want to live any other place.
That's our show for today. As is our custom here, we asked our guests what they'd like you to know about Portsmouth. Let's hear what some of them had to say.
I like Portsmouth because it's a small place. We have fewer than 100,000 people. Everybody knows each other, it seems, and everybody loves Portsmouth. We have our own restaurants and, you know, downtown area, and City Hall is a friendly place to visit, to pay your bills, you know, and it's just a small, quaint city, you know, and like I said, it's just a place that I would go, you know, in my old age for retirement. And for younger people, we have fine schools. If the military wants to come into Portsmouth, you know, and either rent or buy homes, we have a fine school system.
The city's being the size it is relatively small in comparison to the Norfolks and the Virginia Beaches. There's so many opportunities for folks to be civically engaged and get involved in charitable types of functions, and even when there are problems or situations, the folks of Portsmouth will stand up and be heard instantly, and they will, I believe, and I know Portsmouth has a reputation for that. They just won't sit down and take it.
You know, one of the things that impressed me is just the opportunity it's in this area. It just seems like there's so much going on with businesses coming into the area.
Well, there you have it. But don't take their word for it. Come to Portsmouth. See what all the talk is about. I'm Rob Lauer. Join me next time for another episode of Portsmouth Insights.